guess when you come and speak and you don't bring your Bible, people are scared, what's that guy going to do up there? But anyway, and not only that, when Pastor Charlie called me in and said, oh, yeah, you got an hour. I'm like, oh, my goodness, you're going to give a politician an hour? No. I said, oh, when they invite us, like, 5 minutes, sir, 5 minutes, Yeah, and if they can, they start playing the music so we get off. And so, anyway, it's a privilege and an honor to be here. I'm glad we can laugh together, but also worship together, for the worship team that led us, for the prayers, and to see so many faces on Sunday and those who worshiped yesterday, but all of us who are worshiping today, the privilege we have to be able to be in a country that allows us to worship without people interfering and stopping us from worshiping. There two people died, a pastor and a taxi driver, and they went up to heaven. And so based upon how good you are, you get a nice house or a small shack, right? And so they go to the taxi driver first, and, St. Peter goes, go to your mansion, right? Oh. And then they get to the pastor, and they get, pastor, you get that shack. The pastor's like, what? I spent my whole life, 30 years now, preaching and, doing your work and doing sacrifices, and I get a shack, and he's a taxi driver. How in the world does he get, a whole mansion? St. Peter goes, well, every Sunday when you were preaching, people were falling asleep. Every day when he was driving, people were praying. So, that's not to knock pastors, okay? I probably won't get invited back anymore. Anyway, that's to say, hopefully I'm not making you guys fall asleep, and hopefully you're encouraged at the end. Every time I get to speak, I have to thank my parents. They brought us here to America. They shaped us and, gave us a life that allowed us to get to know the Lord. And though they are older, I thank God that they're still alive, and to have a mom and a dad to call and to see, and to be able to, go to them for advice and to go to them for prayer. We still bring our kids every time there's a birthday for grandpa to pray. It seems like it's like that prayer if you come from a Christian family, where when father prays, it seems like the ghosts go away. But you can pray all you want under the covers, and it seems like it's not the same. And so you still want, dad to pray for them, and to just get to know the grandchildren. I also thank God for my wife, my kids. Sometimes they don't ask for what I get into, and they're just kind of dragged along. And so I thank them for being a support, for being understanding, that though dad may miss games, may miss meetings, may miss dinners, that, he's also doing work that hopefully one day when they get older, the kids, they will understand that it was really service, and that to have a wife who takes care, and all of you who are out a lot, to have a spouse who gives you peace when you are out doing your work, that is such a blessing. So you're never worried, like, oh, okay, I wonder if she's cooking. I wonder if, kids are fed and they're doing homework. But to have that peace of mind, so that when you are out, you really give 100% to what you're doing. And I thank God for my wife and for her being with me today. Thank you, Pastor Charlie, and all the members here, and even guests who are here at Clovis Christian Center, your church here, for inviting me today. We met at the chaplain's meeting with Deanna. I think we met also meetings before. But, the work, when you get to hear what churches are doing, you don't boast. It never gets in the papers. We don't hear about it. You're saving lives. You're saving souls. And then we get in trouble because, we didn't budget something right, but you're doing such great work. And your work saves, the heart meaning the people in the city. And we may make those decisions, but it's the work that you all do every single day. And I look back at the time when there were a lot of riots, and a lot of buildings were burning. And I always say, we were safe, we did it right, because churches here were praying. Churches were praying for the city. So that way, if there was a protest, it was peaceful. That way, if someone's upset at the decisions in which we were making, it was something in which was cordial. And that was because you guys were praying, and God saw that. And God honored the Central Valley where we didn't see any of that. So thank you for that. Thank you for not objecting when you saw the announcement that I was coming to speak to the members. Not a politician, no. He's going to tell us about this and to vote for that. And go, oh, no, I hope not. And so thank you for that. You know, I truly believe there's no chance meetings, that God makes our paths cross for a reason. And today, as I share about my life, that should I forget to honor or glorify God in every single point, just know that it was Him. Amen. Just know that everything I share, God did it all. Whether it's bad or good, He did it all. So God has a purpose for us to meet. And may the encouragement of our meeting today be something in which we can look back upon and we see each other, we can smile because we met once and that God allowed us to get to know each other. And lastly, I have to thank Jesus, our Lord and Savior, or my Lord and Savior, for saving me, for showing me, what the purpose of life really is. And that's to serve Him, and to honor Him, and to live your best, whether it's in the way you speak, in the way you dress, in the way you treat others, in the way you think of others. And that constant struggle, but really growth, to be more like Him is something that is so worthwhile, as we have heard all the morning. So I'm honored and humbled to speak. I hope that as I share about my journey, one thing you have to know about the Mouanoutoua is we were born with very weak tear ducts. And so it's a genetic flaw. And so if we get anything emotional, it just flows like Niagara Falls. So, so just wanted you to know, if you ever see one of us you want to marry, just know that you're going to get a crybaby. Anyway, my story is really a story about God's love for His people. Amen. And the work that I hear that you guys are doing, supporting all those missionaries. Even if you weren't doing it then, it was that work that came to the mountains of Laos that saved this family, that saved us. So every first of the month, when you do what you are doing, just realize how powerful your work is. That $1 or that prayer will save a child who will one day, be able to do amazing things because God is going to work in that life. So thank you for that. And I think this story will show you that. There's a Hmong proverb, and it says, whatever is good, take it and use it, but whatever is bad, leave it here and just throw it away. And so sort of whatever is said today that's good, may you use it. And then it goes also with, even when you're in a person's mouth, you still bite your tongue when you're eating or chewing. So in speaking, there's going to be mistakes and errors. So please forgive me for that as we kind of learn together or hear about the journey of the Hmong and my family to America. So we lived in Laos, okay? So in the hill tribes of Laos, in the hills of Laos. We were not city folk because we lived in the jungles. You read about slash and burn farmers. That was us. We farmed and we lived off the land. And as we kind of developed, we were a French colony, and so that's why you see Mouanoutoua, Mouanoutoua. That was really written with French phonetics. because we thought we were all going to go to France because, France would take us all in after. But if we were coming here, we were by the MUA, so you would just be Mua, and so it would be easier, or TWO, Mouanoutoua, you say. So it would be easier, but we were going to go to France, and so that's why it was all written with French phonetics in it. As I look back at my life, sometimes you can look at it and you can go, it was tough, and all your lives too. But it reminds me of the story of the child who was sitting down watching his mom sew an embroidery, right? And so, Mom, we have cross-stitching. And as the boy looked at the mom sewing, he goes, Mom, what are you doing? And the mom goes, I'm sewing something beautiful. And the child's looking at it from underneath. You see all these strings. That's not beautiful. He goes, it is, son. Wait. He goes, no, it's not. It's ugly. Why are you spending so much time doing that? He goes, it's beautiful. And finally, she finishes her last knot, picks up the child, and the child looks at the embroidery from on top. And he finally goes, it was beautiful. You see, in our lives, we're going to look at it and go, why that death? Why did I lose my job? Why did we do this? And as we look at it from our earthly perspective, we're going to go, God, it's messy. It's dirty. And God just says, wait. It's beautiful. Let me pick you up. Look at it from my perspective. And then you'll go, it is beautiful. You had it all along. And as you look at our life and our journey, it is exactly that. The journey of the Hmong and my family to America, it was exactly that. Because if you look at it from underneath, you go, why? Why lose a country? Why lose uncle? Why lose this? Why lose all the educational attainment we had? Why lose all that, Lord? And then after you hear, you go, He knew. He knew all along. So back in 1952, okay, my dad was born in 1937. Grandpa, had 3 wives, okay, so it was okay, so don't judge. No. Yeah. I say it'd be crazy for men today to marry 3 wives, right? Yeah, the amount of child support and all that, half. In the end, you get nothing, okay? And so it's like, whew, America saved us. No? Anyway, he had 3 wives, 7 sons total. And he was the head shaman. He was in charge of 9 villages. Okay, he was the businessman. He was I lost my wording for blacksmith, right? He was a blacksmith, so he made knives and tools and things. And he was also a black magic expert. So I heard stories about like he can make bleeding stop, just doing some black magic and it would stop, or swelling go down, all that kind of stuff. And so he was sort of this, pretty big guy, but he was an orphan. And so that's why he had 3 wives. He wanted a lot of kids because he was an orphan and he knew he had to grow his clan. But in 1952, 7 people in our family died. And missionaries were coming through the hills at that time. And they stopped by grandfather, this is what it was told by the uncles, stopped by our village. And he asked, his name is Mouanoutoua, that's how we got our name. Will you convert to Christianity? Will you believe in Jesus? I'm the head. Everybody comes to me for everything. I'm not going to take down the altar, but because 7 people died, I'll try it for a year. And at the end of 53, if it goes well, I'll do your Jesus thing. If not, we have the altar still up. So he did keep the altar, but he didn't do any of the rituals. And so he, 53 superstitions that come real in sort of where Satan is very strong. Like if mother's milk spilled, if she was feeding her baby, cattle died. I mean, it was instantaneous. We talk about being restricted by the law. When Paul talks about that, it was like that. Okay, if birds flew into the house, there would be sickness. That year, mother's milk spilled, nothing died. Birds flew in the house, no one got sick. The best thing, no one died in 53. At the end of 53, the missionaries came back and he says, yeah, take the altar down. And he said to all the villages that followed him, said, if you're going to be with me and my family, we're doing this Jesus thing. He just took it down. So we were like the second or third largest family to convert to Christianity at a time in which shamanism and everything else was popular. And so we grew up, meaning my parents and me, knowing only Christianity as part of our life. So that's the first thing. He really changed the course of our family. And like I said earlier, and God knew what he was doing way back then. Amen. No one understood, but God did. The second thing he did after converting, Grandpa was a businessman. We're in a village in which a lot of the crossroads, the tradesmen from Vietnam and China would go through, and even from the cities, the Laotians would come through. And every time they came to make a trade, they would go off to the side and speak a different language. And we sit there, I wonder if they're cheating me. And so with the two older sons were much older, so they passed away. So with the two sons, my dad and his older, he says, you're going to go to school. We're going to be an educated family. So now I know what they're talking about the next time they come back. Though it was economic, I think it was fortuitous that we went. So he sent my uncle and my father to school out of the five. So the oldest was the provider, the five uncles who were left, right? So he was the farmer. He fed the family. The second learned all the cultural practices because we were still living amongst Hmong people, the weddings, the funerals, all those cultural practices. He became sort of the cultural leader. The next two went to school, and then another cultural advice for young girls who want to date Hmong young boys, okay? The youngest always takes care of the parents. So the youngest stayed with grandpa. And so if you marry the youngest son, make sure you want to live with mom and dad. Okay? If not, marry the older brothers. Okay? So he stayed. He didn't get through school, but he stayed with grandma and grandpa to take care of grandma and grandpa. And as my dad and my uncle went to school, this is how we got our last name. They went, and the principal knew about Hmong people. He was taking names, and it got to them. So it was, dad's name is J Mua, and then Jer Mua. And the principal rejected their application. He goes, why? We need a last name. The application says last name, not clan name. He goes, Hmong people don't have last name. He goes, you have to have a last name or you won't get enrolled. He goes, well, what's a last name? Well, there's 18 of clans. I need to know of the clan, which line are you? Who is the most prominent of the Muas in your family? And so it was, they just said their dad, okay, Mouanoutoua. And so that's why we got Mouanoutoua, okay, Mouanoutoua, okay? So that's how we got, and it's all we've known. And so we're part of the Mua clan, out of the 18 clans. And so from education, my uncle, God blessed him, became a mayor. As one of the higher ranking officials, and my dad worked in the courts in the city. And from there, education was always pushed amongst the children. And so even in Laos, my cousin became the first to go actually to the Philippines to get a bachelor's degree to come back. And he was someone God would use later on when we got to America, because then he knew English already too. And so the work in Laos, the family structure, what we did, as we grew older, meaning my uncles, church became a part of their lives. And so as the missionaries started building churches within the villages, my uncle and my dad started to work in the administration. So my dad became sort of the planter of churches, to go to the different villages to start churches. And they worked there. And then they also incorporated the first church ever in Laos. The church in which only the king would recognize, the Lao Evangelical Church. And so they started that. But as we all know, the war, was not popular, and with the fall of Laos, then everything also fell with it. Now, how Hmong got here? In Vietnam was the Vietnam War. In Laos was the Secret War, and some of you probably have heard a little bit about it. But in the Secret War, Laos is a neutral nation under the Treaty of Versailles after World War II, meaning a sovereign nation could not officially step foot into Laos. And so because of that, what happened was the North Vietnamese, the Viet Cong, would cut in through Laos with the Ho Chi Minh Trail and supply their troops in the south and also attack American troops in the south. So in other words, they were cheating, okay? But America could not officially go into Laos to attack the Ho Chi Minh Trail. So what they did was they came and had us as guerrilla fighters in the mountains of Laos to stop that trail. And we did. We did a great job. We fought because we also knew if Vietnam fell, Laos would be the next domino and it would fall to communism. And I wanted to say something here. Freedom is a God thing. We forget that. It was written in the Constitution, right? Rights given to us by God, not by man, not by government. And I think we love freedom too. I think men who want to be, or women, or just man in general, want to be free. But freedom is hard. Freedom is hard. Why do I say that? Because with freedom, you choose. You decide if you believe in God. You decide if you want to be a ballet dancer, to a piano teacher, to an artist, to a mechanic. But in a non-free society, they tell you what to do. And that's easy. I'm a farmer, sure, I go farm. I'm a factory worker, I just go. And the consequence is not on me. They decided for me. So I become whatever it is I want to be. But it takes courageous people to want to be free. Because it takes courage to go, I'm going to try this. Because what happens? If I fail, I live with it. You see? That takes courage. And living in a free country, we take that for granted. And as they feed us something that is not free, where it's given to us, freely, but without us working, then I think we lose sight of what God really wants us to be, which is to be free. And so, remember that we wanted freedom. And it takes just one generation for us to forget that. For us just receiving. To forget how hard it is to get freedom back. So share that with your sons and daughters. So as Laos fell, so we had to flee. So on May 15, 1975, General Vang Pao left with a lot of the higher officials and kind of left the people to sort of decide. And as my dad shared it, we didn't know what we were going to do. And so, because everyone's fleeing, it was a scramble. Because without America backing you up in a war, you're not going to win because we don't have the arms to be able to defeat a country like Vietnam. And so, they went to a vote. So the 5, uncles, the 5 brothers, they voted, and it came to a 3-2 vote. 3 to go, 2 to stay. And the 2 who were going to stay were the 2 most educated, too. My father and my uncle, who was a mayor. And the 3 laymen said, hey, we're getting out of here. It's not going to be good. And so we decided to leave. And on May 17th, 1975, we said, let's go. But it was because of education and God blessing the family with positions of influence. We're able to get a military flatbed truck. We're able to get, river boats ready. So that way it was just pretty continuous. Got on the military bed truck. I still remember it like a dream. Going to, the Mekong River at night, sneaking across to go to Thailand to see where the refugee camps were. And as we went over, then it was time to see what was next. Everybody knew the refugee camps were going to close. But America did not open its doors first. France did, and we were planning all to go to France. And a lot of people did go to France because it was immediate. And we were waiting because we wanted to go to America because we've always heard America was bigger, like a bigger nation. And we sent photos, or my dad would take photos, and you would send it of one of your kids. So my sister's photo was used and was sent to America. And it was a church in Torrance that looked at those refugee photos and sponsored our family to America. So it was the church who picked us, and we came across. I remember going to Bangkok, flying in a plane the first time, stopping in Hong Kong, going into a hotel, riding in the elevator for the first time. So remember, we live in the jungles, okay? So this stuff is pretty high tech. And so we go and we see television, color. I remember it was Star Trek that was on the TV in the bedroom. Landing in San Francisco and then coming to Torrance and then going to, they had a hotel, 2 hotels because there was 10 kids, right? And my mom and dad, so a bunch of us. And so we came there. After the war in Laos, Hmong went everywhere. He went to Argentina, Australia, Belgium, Canada, China, Japan, Denmark, New Zealand, France, Switzerland, Germany, and the U.S. The U.S. had the most, okay? And so we came there. But when you think back, you can look at it, and as we talked about, look at it from God's perspective or from our earthly perspective. You know, you lost the country. You lost family members. 1/3 of Hmong people died in that war, the secret war, defending that trail. We lost your education, because your education don't mean anything here in a new country. You lost your status, and so whatever you were ranking, there's no ranking here in America. You lost your career, you lost your identity, you lost a lot of your cultural belongings. You couldn't take it. Okay? And so, there's still stories of so many treasures buried in Laos because we all left. We buried your silver bars, you buried everything. And so you just left hoping the country would turn one day and you would go back. But God was always in control. And so we came to America. It was the bicentennial year, 1976. So the bicentennial year of the Declaration of Independence. And I always associate it with, and I know that the Israelites may not like this, but it was just like the Israelites leaving Egypt. In the sense that we were coming to the land of milk and honey. That's America. Our foot never touched water. We flew in a plane. No. And they have a sea parting, okay? And if we honored God here, He would bless us. And that's what exactly happened. And so it is just like the Israelites, but God was rescuing a whole people that He brought missionaries to witness to convert. And slowly, though many, about half are still, shaman, a good majority has converted to Christianity because of the work that the United States, and there was some missionaries from France also who came over. And we came just like the Israelites. We are here in the land of milk and honey. And I say that because sometimes I think as Americans who've been here for a while, I think you forget that. You forget how lucky you are. You forget how good a nation you have. You forget how blessed you are. That every morning should you wake up and the soil beneath you is American soil, you already started here. Because everybody's still fighting to come here, to be with you, to be your neighbor. Because none of us are fighting to go, I'm going to Canada, I'm fighting to get into China. We're not fighting to get into Russia or to any other country. We're all fighting to get here and to remain here, to keep this nation great. And so I just wanted to say a couple neat things that happened when we were in America. So we're in Huntington Beach now. So we're in Torrance. And then my cousin, who was educated, worked in Department of Social Service because he knew how to speak English. And a lot of the sponsors were in Southern California. So he found us and he brought us to Huntington Beach. That was November. So December, our first Christmas. The neighbor across the street comes over and knows that we're different. They brought a tree. Came over and told my dad, put the tree in your house. And I said, what? Right? Put a tree in the house? He goes, yeah, put it there. And the next day they came with gifts. And they helped decorate the tree. And that was our very first Christmas, just learning giving. You see, America just didn't give us Christmas. They gave us birthdays. We never celebrated birthdays before. Celebrating grandparents, celebrating Thanksgiving, and other holidays. All we have is Hmong New Year. Okay? But we didn't have anything else. But they gave us all those other things in which we were able to celebrate different and take time and to pause to celebrate all the other beautiful things that this nation celebrated. And so that was our first Christmas. That family then also came over and invited us to church. So they would bring the bus around and bring all of us and take us to church and then bring us back. They took us until we established the first church, and probably until 1979 before we established the church, when more Hmong people in Santa Ana established the church. Other funny stories. When we first got to Torrance, my brother and I went out walking, and we found coins, right? We found like quarters and dimes. We came back, we said, Dad, we found money. Okay, in the valley, we found money. My dad turns around and goes, what? They're testing you to see if you're honest. Put those coins back where you found it. You can see us struggling. Going, I think it was here. No, I think it was here. And the other thing is, was it heads or was it tails? No. And so we went and put all those coins back and just, okay, we better be good, right? Better be good because we're new here. We better be good. Another time, my dad was going to get, social services for the family, and he was at the social service department. And, if you've never been poor, as a poor, all you do is go to appointments. Right? People see you, you got to go see someone, you got to see someone. So it's a long process, it can take you all day. And so my dad took a bus down to there, applying, and he was with some other cousins and stuff too, his cousins. And it's a long day, and you're thirsty. And there was a drinking fountain in the hallway. And he went, and there's no button, right? So he waited, and a Caucasian guy comes by. He bends over, the water comes out. And he leaves. And my dad goes over, and he's like, no water. And then another Caucasian guy comes by, then bend over, and water comes out. He gets to drink. He gets home, he goes, see, we have to be good, or the water don't even work. But he didn't see the step on the bottom when you step on for the water to come out. And he told us that, and he goes, are you sure, Dad? He goes, yes. And he's like, okay, we'll behave. We'll do our best. Oh, but America's beautiful. We forget, because it's not until you go to a grocery store to see how blessed we are. I got about 50 brands of cereal to choose from. Yeah, all the food in the world, fresh every day. I mean, even a little smudge, and you can go get a new one because you can get it. But to be able to have all that here, and that's really the blessing of God on this nation. And it's allowing us to see all that. You see, as we were poor, we were on public assistance. We had welfare. We had the Medi-Cal with the stickers. We had the food stamps with the different colors. Yeah. And as we grew up, I think the faith had a deep impact on my father. Because he said, if you're poor on the outside, you're okay. Month, a year. But if you're poor on the inside, you'll be poor for life. So let us live on public assistance. You go and make yourself rich, okay? So keep that hard work. Take advantage of everything that is given to you, because he would always discipline us this way. They have 2 arms. Do you have 2 arms? They have 2 legs. Do you have 2 legs? They have a head. Do you have a head? You can do it just like them. So it was very simple. And that was it. God created you the same. Don't tell me, that the black color or the yellow color or the green color can do it better. If they can do it, you can do it. Just go and work. And he would never listen to an excuse. And it's like, oh. And like I said, education was always important to our family. With the 5 uncles here, they would sit us down in a big room, whoever had the biggest living room. They would sit the children down by age. And they would go down and they would ask, what's your GPA, right? 5 men in the middle asking all their kids, what's your GPA? And you would hear 3.8. What do you want to be? Doctor. They move on. If you got like a 2 something, 2.3, lecture. You get to like, I want to be a musician, lecture. So you couldn't be an actor, couldn't be a musician. It's also doctor, lawyer, engineer, So when it came to us, it's just 3.8. Yeah, because they didn't know, right? We didn't know either. They're not checking. 3.8. Doctor, yes. This would happen 2-3 times every year. And all you kept hearing was doctor, lawyer, engineer, doctor, lawyer, engineer. So all of us young kids were just like, yep, doctor. But it left an impression, and it made it where, I better not mess up. I better be one of those things. And you work hard and keep that GPA up. But education was also important. It was also where we started the church in Santa Ana. I know we were going to the American church, but as more Hmong people immigrated to America, then, as refugees, and I want to put that distinction out, because you kind of had no choice when you're a refugee, okay? And so sometimes we forget that, it's us versus them. But all of us used to be them, okay? And so we came, and as we started the church, then it got incorporated, and we brought the Lao Evangelical Church title still here to America. And it allowed us to begin worshiping here as well. And that never left the family. That never left the influence of our lives, because God was there all along. And as education, as the children grew, I got to UCLA. And I think as you grow up in America, you take little things for granted. I was living in the dorms. And I thought it was tough, because there's 3 of us, a room probably just like this, bunk bed, and then one guy had a loft so he can study underneath. And you're going, and you're eating dorm food. You make fun, right? We got dorm food. I had a grandfather come from Fresno to visit, because they heard that, we're going to a university, to UCLA. And he stopped by and he wanted to see how school was like. And he came in and he couldn't get in, because I had to check in for him to get into the dorm. As you get into the dorm, he goes, where do you eat? He goes, over there. Okay, you have to cook? No. They cook for you? Yes. How many meals you get? I get breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Oh, where do you sleep? Over there? You have a bathroom? Is there hot water? Cold water? Toilet? And as he leaves, he looks at me and goes, you better not fail. They treat you like a king. Oh, it blew my mind, right? Because you take those things for granted. They were giving everything to you. And so it was just, God was providing all those things, and it made it so that you had to remain grateful. Amen. After church and education, and then moving to Clovis. We didn't move up here I didn't move until 96, but Dad bought the home, I want to say 4 or 5 years earlier. And so it was just where we knew we were going to end up, because all the Hmong lived up here. But my father would not leave until the youngest child finished college. And so that's what kept him down in Orange County for so long. And we moved to 16, where the Old Navy used to be. Right now it's 7 Restaurant, right there, Cherry Lane. So we moved there. And I think we were always fortunate to have ended in Clovis. Not that Fresno's bad, okay? But I'm biased, so Clovis is a little bit better. No. But, we ended up there, and it allowed us to really grow up and appreciate a slower life here in the Central Valley, where we were growing up in Huntington Beach and Orange County. It was just so fast. Also, as a Hmong young man, you are required to get married. Okay, it's expected. You finish college, you get married. You married, got kids. Okay, it's just you got to do that. There's no other point in life. Okay, and so. And I tell my wife I was shy, but she goes, no, you're never shy, right? And goes, relationships failed. And one of the pastor's wives, we went to a youth retreat, and she came to me, she goes, young man, a girlfriend you find, but a wife God brings to you. Amen. I didn't understand that, because it was just, I can win her, I can get her like me. And it took a lot to just go, God, bring me a wife. And to just say, none of my, wit and humor and all this kind of stuff, just bring someone to me. because I'm relying on me, because I'm thinking I can get this girl, that girl to be my wife. And when I started doing that, I wasn't dating. And then God brings her to my church. Literally, she comes on a friend's day, right, to our church, and that's how we met. And my version of it, the kids like a lot more, but she tells her version, and the kids are like, it didn't happen that way. But you know what I prayed for? Thank you. I prayed for, at that time, you know, long black hair, probably works at a fruit stand or something like that, humble, loves God, loves family. And that was it. She had long black hair. Her parents farmed, right? And so when I trusted, God brought me, you know, something, I go, she's the better half. She, you know, sometimes they say, you know, when you have something tough to say that's going to be emotional, have your wife say it. She's better looking. She's calmer. You're going to ruin it. So next time, Pastor, have her be the special guest speaker. But I look back and I go, why did God choose to save our family? Why did God choose to save Mouanoutoua and their family? And I look back and I go, He was really preparing us for life here. He wasn't saving us for Laos, because He knew Laos was going to fall. But because He saved us so early, when we came here, we hear you sing Amazing Grace, and we go, hey, that's the same tune as our song. We hear you sing How Great Thou Art, and go, hey, we have that same song too. We hear you bow your head and pray and go, hey, we do that kind of stuff too. It made us ready. It made us to be able to assimilate with this culture so much quicker and better. And it made us excel faster than if we would have just kept. And if you look at the Hmong community, the families who have gone further are Christian families. I kid you not. The shamanist families are just slow. They won't let their daughters go to school, right? They won't do that because there's no trust. But the ones with God in the center of their lives, they know God will take care of their child, even if they go to Brown University out in Rhode Island, or if they're here at Fresno State. And it has been God. And so He did that all the time. He was also preparing us, I think we forget this one, for His kingdom. Because the world didn't know He's coming back. Or at least we didn't. And we now know He is coming back. And how do I best prepare for that life while I'm here in this life? And it's only if He saved me. If only if He saved us. And so God was waiting. God was going, you know, I got good things for you. And truly God chooses us. And it's not us at all. We think it's us, but no, it's Him. You know, sometimes we forget about heaven. We keep thinking, I got to see what it looks like. I got to know. But there are many of you here, you can't wait to get to heaven. And I always use the analogy of the dog who's in the other room, who when you're here, the dog knows not how this room looks like. But he hears his master's voice and he's scratching at the door. He's not going, I'm going in there because I smell good cooking. I'm not going in there because that's where I sleep. He's going in there because he wants to be with his master. And we sometimes forget to scratch at heaven, going, I just can't wait to be with God. I can't wait to be with my master. And so we go, I got to see it first, Lord. Is it true? Is it real? Does the science fit? You know, can you prove it all? If you can, maybe. Or if my life is good, maybe. But no, we have to love God like that dog loves us. And we just can't wait to be right next to Him. The other thing God taught us and why He saved us is we're all the same. In Laos, we all look the same. But here, we're all different. Red, yellow, black, and blue, right? Like that song. We're all the same. And brown. And we forget how similar we really are. And we use that color to divide us. And we forget, you divorce like I divorce. You have children problems like I have children problems. You have weight problems, I have weight problems. You know, all the things that you have, I have. And we all experience it the same. It reminds me of the story of the little mouse, right? The mouse lives in the farm, and he lives with Grandma and Grandpa. The mouse comes out, and Grandma's sick and tired of the mouse. And Grandma goes, I'm going to kill that mouse. I'm going to catch that mouse one day. And Grandma orders on Amazon. Amazon comes by. Mouse looks and goes, what's she ordering today? Opens it up, it's a mouse trap. The mouse goes, I'm dead. I'm dead. She's going to set it where I don't know. Tonight I'm going to get trapped. So the mouse runs outside. The mouse goes to the rooster, and the rooster goes, you got to help me, Mr. Chicken. You got to help me. Grandma got a mouse trap. It's going to kill me tonight. The rooster's like, I got all these hens, all these chicks to take care of. It's not my problem. It's a mouse trap, not a chicken trap. Okay? Get out of here. The mouse runs over to the pig. He goes, Mr. Pig, they love you. They feed you. They give you all their leftovers. They will take care. Just go tell them. I won't make a mess. No, I'm busy eating. Leave me alone. He goes to the cow. Mr. Cow, they drink from you. They give you everything. That mousetrap, you can just tell them. Even if I step on the mousetrap, it won't even bother me. Get out of here. Not my problem. So the mouse goes back home and says, I'm not going to eat tonight. I'd rather die of starvation than to be trapped. Middle of the night, the trap snaps. Here's, right? Grandma's got that little sucker. Grandma goes up and she yells, ah! It was a poisonous snake. Caught a snake. The snake bit Grandma. Grandpa gets up, kills the snake. Grandma's sick. Has to go to the hospital. Okay, so she's not feeling it. What do? People in the hospital? Got to bring in chicken soup. Went out, killed the rooster. Brought chicken soup. Grandma as well. Comes back home. The church has been coming. The village has been coming. Mom's home now. Got to celebrate. Kill the cat. Kill the pig. Kill the pig first. Kill the pig. Unfortunately, the poison did not all get out. Grandma dies. And this is the Vong family. So you got to kill the cow. Kill the cow. In the end, only the mouse was left. You see, so don't ever say it's a Hmong problem. Oh, it's the black problem. It's the Mexican problem, right? It's Fresno. No. You know, it's that neighborhood. It's all of us. And if we forget, it might be our neck, you see. It might be our child. It might be our school. It might be our neighbor. And so we're more similar than not. Here's my encouragement for you as I get closer to wrapping it up. First, let's keep it simple. And God made it pretty simple. He just gave simple orders, right? We like to mess it up, okay? And so we like to mess up family. Oh, we got a divorce. We got to do that or whatever. We mess up everything He has established, the order of life. And so keep it simple. And I think He gave a good illustration, meaning God's creation. It's only 7 colors He created. Crayola messed it up. No. Made 360. Just 7. And look what people have been able to do with those 7 colors. He gave us 7 musical notes. And look what we have been able to do. So it's simple. Let's keep it simple. We're all here for the soul-saving business. Amen. And if we would keep that at the forefront, as what Pastor was saying earlier, and I struggle with it, and that's why we need your prayers. If we keep that at the forefront, we will make better policy decisions. Will my decision save that soul? Will my decision glorify God? And so we have to do that. Second, we have to, with regards to keeping it simple, the New Testament just love, right? Love. Before he had all these commandments, now just love. Love each other. And I think we've been loved, meaning my family's been loved by so many people. Some I can't even remember. The family who gave us the Christmas tree, who brought us to church, I don't remember them. I don't know who they are. They kind of just passed and went through. But it was their love. The missionaries who saved us. The family who actually sponsored, or the church who sponsored us to America. You know, people who have helped me along the way, all the way to where I am today. It's love. There's this young man, he came and he stood at the corner on top, and he pulled out his heart, and it was a perfect heart. And he said, I know how to love. Look how beautiful my heart is. Perfectly shaped, no blemishes. I have the perfect heart. An old man on a cane looked up and laughed at him. That ain't no perfect heart. And he pulled out his heart, and it was jaggedy and cut and scarred. And he said, I have a more perfect heart than yours. And the young man laughed and goes, that's an ugly heart. That ain't no perfect heart. He goes, it is. Let me share with you. You see this chunk that is up? Someone loved me so much. I didn't get a chance to love them. See this cut? It was when I hurt someone and I didn't love them enough. This is when they loved me so much. This is when I took a chunk of my heart out and no one gave anything back. That's why it's missing that piece. And at that moment, the young man was crying. He goes, I've never experienced love then because mine is perfectly shaped. And as his tears were rolling, the old man took a chunk out of his heart and shoved it into his perfect heart and then bulged out. He goes, now you know what love is. You see, all of you have loved. And you know what love is because you know how to appreciate what God has given in your life. And you are grateful for those who have loved you. And so continue to love. Continue to build those lumps and those scars on your heart because that's what it is. Next, after keeping it simple, be grateful. Be grateful. I did not come out of my mother's womb with a city council card, with a ticket for an iPhone. No. Yeah, a deed to this house. I came with nothing. I came naked. And I'm going to go with nothing. And everything in between, God gives. But He can also take. And me as a man have no right to ever go, why'd you take this? Why'd you take that? Why didn't you give me this? And so remain grateful for the goodness and whatever you have currently in life. Because, you know what they say, you don't appreciate your shoes until you see a man with no shoes. And so appreciate all that we have. So be humble. You see, the 10 children, God was good to our family. We have one that has an MD, an MBA. I have a Juris Doctorate degree, right? We have a civil engineer, electrical engineer. We have teachers. And so God blessed us. Amen. All 10 have done well with the blessings of this nation, of the school districts, of the people who have been in our lives. And it's our job now to give back. Amen. Next, character still counts. Amen. Character still counts. You must demand that of us as people who make decisions for you, but demand it of each other. Right. We go to the salesman who treats us best. We go to the salon that, treats us well and talks to us well. And we must remain the same. And we as Christians should never change what God has made us to be because of someone who is mean or bad. Like the story of the guy who sees the snake burning, right? He goes and he grabs a snake out of the fire. And as he grabs the snake turns around, bites his hand. He lets it go. And he goes and he finds a stick. And then he wraps around the snake and he still saves the snake. Another man was watching and goes, why did you still save the snake? The snake bit you. And he said, the snake's nature is to bite. My nature is to help. You're going to get bitten, but still be loving like God made us. Still be forgiving. People are going to treat us poorly because you have Christian as your label. And there's no term for hating Christians. You hate Jews, you are a what? Yeah, anti-Semite. You hate anyone. You hate gay people. There's a term for everything. There's no term for hating Christians. Okay? You don't like Muslims? There's a term for that too. And so we're the only one that's not protected. So remain who you are. But of the traits, the trait that is most needed today, okay, there's love, peace, patience, all that stuff, right? There's one that we must have. Courage. For without courage, you cannot love. For without courage, you cannot give. It takes courage to be able to stand. It takes courage to speak. It takes courage to risk or to give 10% back to God. Because our eyes go, oh, doesn't add up at the end, right? It takes courage to go, oh, I'm sorry. It takes courage when, the kid that they laugh at school, he drops the stuff. You're the one who goes and picks up the stuff with him. It takes courage to sit with someone who's lonely. It takes courage. For without courage, then all our other values, it's hard to see. So have courage. Work on our courage. It's the key that unlocks all the other good fruits and traits that we all like to see. I think Mother Teresa said it very well. People are often unreasonable, irrational, and self-centered. Forgive them anyway. If you are kind, people may accuse you of selfish, ulterior motives. Be kind anyway. If you are successful, you will win unfaithful friends and lose some genuine, or gain some genuine enemies. Be successful anyway. If you're honest and sincere, people may deceive you. Be honest and sincere anyway. What you spend years building, others could destroy overnight. Build anyway. If you have serenity and happiness, some may be jealous. Be happy anyway. The good you do today will often be forgotten. Do good anyway. Give the best you have, and it will never be enough. Give your best anyway. In the final analysis, it is between you and God. It was never between you and them anyway. Always between you and God. And know why you serve. Know why you believe in Christ. I think Dr. Martin Luther King, in his sermon on the Good Samaritan, I love his interpretation at the end. And we all know, especially here at church, you better know, the story of the Good Samaritan. And he said, that road to Jericho is a long, winding road, a lot of turns in which thieves can potentially jump you. And so as the other Jews saw this Jew hurt, they were afraid maybe something might happen, maybe he might be fake. But it took a Samaritan to come and to love this Jew, to give this Jew everything, to protect the Jew, and to pay someone else to watch over the Jew. See, there were two questions asked by the Jew who came by and by the Samaritan who came by. The Jew saw the hurt Jew and said, what would happen to me if I stop and help? They might hit me, they might rob me, I might lose money. But the Samaritan asked the right question. What will happen to him if I don't stop? What will happen to your son if you don't love him? What will happen to your neighbor? What will happen to this city? What will happen to this nation? What will happen to others if you don't have the courage to stand up? If you don't have the courage to love? I know it's scary as Christians because they're going to yell at us. They're going to call us names, and no one likes to be called names. We as politicians, you think we like it? Well, we hate it too, okay? We don't like it. No one likes it, but it's part of the game. But I think it's time for us to know why we serve. Because our neighbors are going to lose. Our neighbors, what's going to happen to them if we don't? You see, God is like a motion detector. It doesn't work if we don't move. We stay still, the motion just doesn't detect anything. We have to move for that light to shine. We have to go for it to work. And God's waiting. He's a motion detector too. He's sitting there and he's going, what are you going to do? And the day we move, he lights up and he shines. And we're going to be fine. You see, today, Sundays and revival days, and I think politics is not going to solve the problems of America and of this world. It's a spiritual battle. The church can solve it. The church, meaning Christ with all of us, can solve these problems. But if you wait on us, good luck. Yeah, we mess up a lot. So it's up to you. But as you come every Sunday, and as you know, it is a spiritual battle. And the devil has all the best weapons. But some of us, every Sunday we come to church, we don't pick up any weapons. We come here and go, I'll take a stick. I'll fight him with the stick. Oh, no, I'll let it lay down my 6-shooter. I'm just going to go fight him with my hands. And he's out there with a nuclear bomb and a tank and, right, flying M16s, all that kind of MiGs and all. We got to come here and load up. Amen. We got to come here and go, God, what weapons can you give me to win this spiritual battle out there? And we can't just come here and go, oh, lay it all down. Pastor's got everything covered. Yeah, no, we need to come here. And as we group every Sunday, we listen to each other. Hey, you need to take this. Amen. This will help you get through. And so don't just come to this ammunition depot and go, I don't need anything. Yeah. I'm fine. We need each other. We need the best weapons, and that's each other to go out there. In conclusion, I do ask, and I thank you that you will be praying for me and for all of us. Keep us in your prayers. See, so many of us politicians, we struggle with, do our faith lead our politics, or do our politics lead our faith? And too many of us go, my party is saying this, I'll just find a verse that helps feed my faith so I can go, I'm doing good. But I hope you keep us accountable. You keep us where, no, this is your faith. You need to be up there. And with that, I think we will be able to do a good job. I close with this story. You know, eagles, they lay their nests high on trees or on cliffs. And one day the wind was blowing, so one of the eagle's eggs fell down the cliff to a chicken coop. And the hen saw the egg alone and go, oh, one of my eggs must have fell. Took the egg, put the rest with her other eggs. And she sat on the eggs until they hatched. And as the eagle hatched with all the other chickens, you know, he's like, oh, I got a family. The eagle looked around. The eagle said, I don't look like you guys. Yeah, look at my beak, look at my wing, look at my talons. The other chickens, nah, you're like us from the same batch. Let's follow mom. Let's go eat. Okay, let's go eat. Keeps eating until he's grown now, right? Lived Moses' life a chicken grown. And he looks up and he sees eagles soaring in the sky. And he goes to his brothers and sisters again. He goes, I'm telling you guys, I don't think I'm one of you. You're a chicken. Well, look, I think I'm one of them. Look at my talons. These can kill. Look at my beak. I can eat raw meat. Look at my wingspan. I can fly over cliffs and mountains. I go, come on, we grew up together. You're a chicken. Put your head down. Let's eat. And the eagle put his head down and lived the life of a chicken. We're all eagles. We're meant to soar, to fly. But if we listen to the chickens around us, we're just going to put our head down and be satisfied. Well, this is it. Well, don't be satisfied. We're made to fly. We're made to see what God has for us to see. We're made to be able to change the world. And if you would just see within yourself that I'm like Him. I'm like Him. And when you see that, and you're not chicken, then you will fulfill your life as a true eagle, as a true servant, as a true follower of Christ. May God bless your church. May God bless the work that you continue to do. May God continue to bless each and every one of your families. And may God give you the ability to live for Him. And please continue to pray for us. God bless you. Thank you so much for this honor and this opportunity. Thank you.